All right, Shalom. Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachakodash. I'd also like to give double honors to my elders, bishops, and apostles of Great Millstone that do root well. And I would like to say peace and salutations to the Lord's elect, to the hopeful elect in the 1/3, and Adon Ratazah. This lesson will be edifying as well as exhorting to the sincere sheep of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakwadash, and the Wada Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakakwadash. Forgive me the inspiration to do this lesson. And as the title reads, different paths in this truth explained in a parable. Okay, now, I just want to go into Mark, the 4th chapter. And, I want to explain the different walks that Israelites are going to have, while waiting to be delivered. And not every Israelite that finds out that they're Israelites are going to have the spirit to remain in this truth or in this same walk or on this same path, okay, waiting to be delivered. And you have to understand that specifically for yourself, okay, and understand the reality of what you'll face within this truth. The mental battle, the physical battle, the spiritual battle. All right. And, those around you, understanding that not everyone was predestinated. Okay. As it's explained in Romans, the 8th chapter, and Ephesians, the 4th chapter. And it just comes down ultimately to, at the end of the day, is the only thing you can rely on is faith, hope, and fear. Okay. And mercy. Because anything after that, man, whoo. So yeah, let me just go into this. I don't believe there's going to be a long lesson, but I do believe, humbly speaking, this is going to be a edifying, exhorting lesson, to the sincere, to those that are actually sincerely seeking Yahweh Shem Shai while he may be found. All right, so what I want to do is right here, you got Mark, the 4th chapter, and it's going into the parable of the sower and soils. Now, we could start at 1, okay, but what I want to do is I want to go down to what you see right here. It says explanation, okay, so I want to go into the explanation of this parable, because when Yahushua would speak at times in parables, not everyone understood what he said because it wasn't given to them. So that's another thing you have to understand, that not everyone is set up to hear what's being said in the spirit, all right? Not everyone is going to react to videos the way you do. Not everyone is going to take heed to the exhortations to videos of who you call elders or brothers, or who you look as an elder or a man of the Lord, vice versa. Someone else that may be around you, someone that may be learning too, someone that may want to go to camp with you one day. Like, they're not in the same walk as you, and you have to understand that. All right. You have to understand this. Now, let me go down into it. And lessons like these are not always the most popular, because right now, Jake has the liberty to pretty much gad abroad. He has the liberty to pick and choose what videos he wants to listen to surrounding his God and his Savior. Right now, you get to choose, what teachers you like, or what name you want to call on, or what doctrine that you want to have. Well, at the end of the day, this is a very narrow path. Okay, so let me get into it. This is Mark 4:10. Actually, I'll start at 1. Mark 4:1. And he being Yahushai, and he began again to teach by the seaside. So publicly, out in the open. All right, not just podcasting. Okay, not just at some event because it's some worldly Babylonian event. All right. And there was gathered unto him a great multitude. So this is why when we do videos and they're showcased online, this is why you'll have a cluster of views. Not every view is going to be sincere. Not every view is going to be a brother. Not every view is going to be a sister. You got a mix of them. You got demons that watch us, agents that watch us, unbelievers that watch us, scoffers that watch us, enemies, heathens that watch us. So not everyone that's around us listening is there why you're here to listen. It says, so that he entered into a ship and sat in the sea, and the whole multitude was by the sea on the land, and he taught them many things by parables and said unto them in his doctrine. So we have a doctrine that we adhere to, and there's a spirit that comes with this doctrine, okay, which is via the Comforter through the Holy Spirit, and we believe that's been given to us by our elders, bishops, and apostles of Great Millstone. That's where we stand, okay, and ultimately it's Yahweh Shai's doctrine because it's from on high that it's being sent down here on earth, okay, and we're given the ability to receive it. We're given the ability to trust in it, to understand it, and accept it and not reject it. So within that, there's going to be a battle. There's going to be ups, downs, upheavals. It's not just going to be smooth sailing. Remember the journey of Apostle Paul, where he was shipwrecked thrice. So you can only imagine, the things that we experience in modern time that we read about happen on journeys in ancient times. Okay. So now let's jump down. Okay. So this is Mark 4 and 10. So it says, let me see here, Mark 4 and it says, and when he was alone, because he goes into the parable right here, all right? Some fell on good ground, some thorns, this, that. So he's going into all these, this parabolic speech, and then he's going to explain it. So we're going to go right into the explanation for you to understand what Yahweh Shai was saying was he was going into different paths, because what he says here, he reiterates it, but he also explains it. That's why I'm skipping down to verse 10. And when he was alone, they that were about him with the 12 asked of him the parable. And he said unto them, unto you it is given to know the mystery of the kingdom of Yahweh, but unto them that are without, all these things are done in parables. So this is why, sometimes there's certain sayings that Jake's not going to get because it wasn't spoken plainly unto them. Okay. They're not set up to receive the simplicity in Yahweh Shai. And it says that seeing they may see and not perceive, and hearing they may hear and not understand, lest at any time they should be converted and their sins should be forgiven them. See? So Matthew's 13 and 10, and the disciples came and said unto him, why speakest thou unto them in parable? He answered and said unto them, because it is given to you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. Okay? So not every Israelite is set up to receive this information. Not every Israelite is set up to adhere or believe or understand or even take heed, and that's one thing I myself had to learn and still learning, but getting a better grasp to it, that not everyone fears like we fear. That's one thing that I've noticed looking around and questioning people's actions outside of just saying, you're a demon or you're proud or you're this. It's like, oh, you are set up to fear. That's why they speak evil pertaining to dignitaries. You got certain Israelites that they're just set up to be N-words. Okay, they're set up to be niggas, man. They're not set up in the spirit for what we see. Okay, let me see real quick. Let me see here. See, look, see, 2 Peter 2 and 12, it says, but these as natural brute beasts made to be taken and destroyed, speak evil of things that they understand not, and shall utterly perish in their own corruption, and shall receive the reward of unrighteousness, as they that count it pleasure to riot in the daytime. Spots they are and blemishes, sporting themselves with their own deceivings while they feast with you. Okay? So you gotta understand that you have Israelites out here that know that they're Israelites, but they're not going to be fearing like you fear. They're not going to be considering like you consider. And this is why I titled it Different Paths in This Truth Explained in the Parable. So Yahweh Shai, he explained it clearly for us to understand why certain camps act the way they do, certain Israelites, certain even women, like even with all the rebukes You still have women that will go out and try to teach, show their face, discredit the doctrine. Okay, this is what you're seeing right now, but you have to understand that as well. And now let's explain it. This is Mark 4 and 13. And he said unto them, know ye not this parable? And how then will ye? Oh, it says, just give me a second. Let me plug this in here. Hold on. Let's see. I thought it was plugged in. Okay, now we're back. We're back. Okay, so because we're at the wire, man. I just want to say this, and I feel in the spirit this lesson is just gonna go out to the sincere sheep. Okay, it's not gonna have a gimmicky, worldly title to attract. And I mean, we're fishers, okay, but there's certain bait that the Lord prefers for certain fish, and then there's other bait that's used for other fish. Okay, so we're just at the wire. And one thing that's on my spirit is spiritual strength. Okay. You have to have spiritual strength. Okay. Remember that. Now it says 4 and 14, the sower soweth the word. Okay. So we're sowing the word. We're planting a seed, and that seed is being regarded to as a word. This is why it says Apollos plant. What does it say? Apollos plant. Let me see real quick. Let me get it right here real quick. This is Apollos plant. Yeah. Apollos plant. They probably created one. Oh, 3 and 6. Excuse me. I was in 4 and 6. 1 Corinthians 3 and 6. It says, let's start at 5. Matter of fact, we're going to start up. Because see, this is what Apostle Paul had a problem with even back then. Certain guys only went with certain people for their own reason and not for truth's sake. 1 Corinthians 3 and 1, and I, brethren, could not speak unto you as unto spiritual, but as unto carnal, even as unto babes in a Mashiach. So you have other Israelites that are still as babes like we once were too. And still, we're still babes. We're still growing, but we're starting to be able to chew more of meat. But as babes, we're still desiring the milk too. Okay, Never discredit the milk. The milk is what you have to deal with on a day-to-day when you're on the out and about, dealing with people, dealing with, your family, a woman if you got one, brothers, all that. You got to understand, and I'm speaking to myself first, when you're dealing with people, you got to deal with them according to milk. Like it says, with a woman, deal with her according to knowledge because she's the weaker vessel. These are things we have to learn in this walk moving forward. Otherwise, you're just going to constantly have friction, okay? And I'm speaking to myself first, but it's true. All right. A lot of times we go through things so that we can learn from them and then explain it to the listeners so they can learn from as well. It says, I have fed you with milk and not with meat, for hitherto ye were not able to bear it, neither yet now are ye able. So not every Israelite is able to bear meat. Okay. And certain things are going to be meat to them. Explaining the law in Deuteronomy 22 is meat. Okay. The stern rebuke can be meat to certain people. All right. Explaining the role of a woman compared to a man can be meat, but it's like, you got to understand it. Explaining how hell is a condition in a grave and not a doctrine of man in the middle of the earth. That's meat. See? So not everyone is on the same level. It's just like when you go to a job. Have you ever been on a job where they tell you do not discuss your hourly wage with the next person because each one of you has a different pay wage? So it's the same thing. We all been given different talents or different measures, but we don't boast ourselves within that. But quite the contrary, we're supposed to understand what measure to handle individuals at, okay? And if they're in the right spirit. It says, for ye are yet carnal, for whereas there is among you envying and strife and divisions, are ye not carnal and walk as men? So these are real situations that you're going to deal with even within this walk. Not that you're an envious person, but you could be dealing with an envy demon. Not with strife, but you could have a situation where you become strifeful and you got to work on that shit, man. Okay, there's different paths in this walk. It's so real that sometimes I'll watch other Israelite camps. If I just happen to come across it, I'll say, hey, well, let me click on it. And I seen a video the other day. and it was, I'm not even going to say the name, it don't even matter. But the camp was interviewing 3 of their, what I perceived to be their wives or believers of that congregation. And when they were asking these 3 women questions, I could see things that one of the women needs to work on right on camera. You see? So it's like you could see what certain brothers or sisters are working on or have to work on. And you have to understand there's things that you always got to work on. You're always trying to fix or always trying to do better. There's different paths in this truth. Okay. And Yahweh Shai explained it in a parable, and I'm going to get to it. All right. But these things need to be addressed as well. It says, for while one saith, I am of Paul. So someone could be like, I only watch this brother and that brother only. And another, I am Apollos. Are ye not carnal? Exactly. So you saying you want to watch this man, but not watch this man, when it's the Spirit giving all of us men the inspiration to speak in the first place. So a lot of our people are following the quote unquote truth pertaining to who it looks like, how it's being preached, and what's being said. All right. It says, who then is Paul and who is Apollos? But ministers by whom ye believed, even as the Lord gave to every man. I have planted, remember going back, the seed is the word. I have planted, Apollo hath watered, but Yahweh gave the increase. So that neither is he that planteth anything, neither he that watereth, but Yahweh that giveth the increase. But you have, in particular, Israelites that will actually boast themselves in a position as if, they are on their own accord, and, following them is following them because it's me. And man, this ain't a me thing. Okay. This is a Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai B'Shem Rakakwadash thing. All right. Meaning what I'm getting at, you got guys that want to be praised, that want to be cried after, and yeah, I'm thinking about like Bishop Nathaniel, that's not a good spirit, man. Okay. Because the Lord at an instant could humble you. I've been really thinking about that lately. Like you just had that flood in Texas, and I'm like, look at how just a body of water shut everyone up. Look at how one lightning strike could quiet a room. Look at how man, the Lord could give you bubble guts, man. This thing ain't about being proud, man. And man is weak, man is frail. Man is of a few days. Man's life is of a vapor. But you got men out here boasting themselves to be something, all because they've been allowed to find out that they're Israelites. See that? That's a scary thing. Yes, we're above everyone else, but we're below everyone right now in carnality in captivity. Let's keep going. Mark 4:15, and these are they by the wayside where the word is sown. They come to camp, they hear the word, but when they have heard, Satan cometh immediately and taketh away the word that is sown in their hearts. And you'll see that, like years ago, I remember the apostles were pretty much speaking with a polite, and they were starting to explain it to him. And he started saying how, I could see that. And then out of nowhere, like this huge truck just started letting off this like air horn, and it immediately distracted him, or like someone could come to camp, and as they're at camp listening, a demon will come up and interrupt it. That's what Satan does. Okay. Or you're watching a video and then a family member, okay, or the something starts happening to interfere. See, just like when you used to read and you start to get tired, that's Satan trying to take away the word. So it's a fight. So not everyone is just gonna wake up, hear the word, and be cool, man. Okay, Satan is actually allowed to take away the words that are sown in your mind. Okay, simply by telling you the role of the woman, telling you the where the heathen's going to be in captivity, and then immediately you like everything, but as soon as you heard about UFOs, that's Satan. Okay, when I first came in, that's what Satan tried to do. He tried to make me not believe in the UFOs. Okay, but there was an in particular brother who I'm not going to say his name. All right, but the Lord used that brother to counsel me and to break it down to me so I could understand it, and then I was able to receive it. So there's a lot of times where there's certain things you could hear, And then there's other things where you're not fully accepting. You gotta catch that, because that's Satan. Okay, you gotta accept the 100% doctrine. You gotta eat the whole roll. Let me get that real quick. And I see why the elders and apostles say back to the basics. This is a back to the basic exhortation, prophetic video for the sincere. Okay, this is Ezekiel 3:1. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, eat that thou findest, eat this roll, and go speak unto the house of Israel. And not every Israelite teacher that's out here has eaten the whole roll in its entirety to be out here to speak to you, to teach you. This is why they come up with the thoughts and the doctrines that they have, because they're not fully set up by the Lord. So you got to be careful. A lot of our people follow guys that haven't ate the whole roll, so they haven't sown the entire word. So now they're just chilling, because what's Satan got to take from them that they ain't even been given in the first place? What's Satan got to take from them if they ain't even been given it? See? So let's keep going. So there's different paths in this truth, man. People have different reactions compared to you. Verse 16. And this is all red letter, by the way. So Yahushua is breaking down the reality of the paths that are taken in this walk of truth. And these are they likewise, which are sown on stony ground, who, when they have heard this word, immediately received it with gladness. So, oh, that's a fact. Yeah, hands dapping. Oh, yeah. Like Kendrick, right? See? So it's like they don't got no they don't got no ground, they don't got no foundation. Look, and have no root in themselves. And so endured but for a time afterward, when affliction or persecution ariseth for the word's sake, immediately they are offended. So you have to understand that there are other Israelites that have and will fall away because of afflictions and persecutions pertaining to the word's sake. And that means they've never fully been rooted, but you didn't know that they didn't have no roots because it wasn't harvest season. So there was nothing to be plucked up. So you just thought they was just growing like you were growing, but they weren't growing as you were growing because they weren't even rooted into the ground. I've seen men bring men to camp, and in my spirit, I'm like, you could just see this dude don't want to be here. Why'd you even bring him here? So but you say, hey, we'll see. That's a lot of times, like, well, let's see how it plays out, because we ourselves are still seeking our own salvation. We ourselves are still fighting to stay rooted and grounded. Now, this precept just came to mind. So since we're speaking about rooted and grounded, and then it makes me also think Yahushua said, he that is not of me or my Father will slowly wither away. So this is deadly serious, man. Okay. Psalms 1:1, blessed is a man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Shai, and in the law does he meditate day and night. So that means your mind, okay, is constantly geared towards the Lord. All right. And we have a balance, but one thing that I'm even learning within my balance is like, even in the balance, it's like, man, I just still want the kingdom to come, though. You still want the kingdom, because the Lord will give you things, things you might desire, or the flesh. And guess what, brothers? After you get it, okay, you're still going to be like, man, I just need the kingdom. Elder Apostle Kabar did a video about that one Jake from Fresh and Fit. I believe he goes by Fresh. And he was explaining how he's like, look, I've had it all. And I know what he means. As a man, I know exactly what he means. He means in his walk, he's gotten everything that he has desired fleshly. He's got the booty. He got the women. He had all the nights and the nuts. Excuse my language, but you know what I mean. He's had the cars and the ocean views. He's had all the desirable things. And what he realized at the end of the day is it wasn't enough for his spirit. Okay. At the end of the day, if the Lord hasn't designed your makeup in the spirit to be all for him, want him no matter what for him, there's going to be something that will be used to pull you away. And I'm very thankful that the Lord has it on my spirit to be against this world while within it. Now, I'm not miserable, but I'm content, as in I'm my daily bread, highs, lows, woes, we're there. Okay. But ultimately, the success and the rest that we want, we know it only will come in the kingdom. But you have other Israelites that try to find rest in the world, even though this world isn't our rest. And that's a problem. But these are the different walks that different Israelite takes while they start learning that they're Israelites. Not every Israelite is set up to be in the camp, to teach daily, to go to camp, to be in this. Not everyone has a different position or a different lot or a different walk. It says, verse 3, and he shall be like a tree planted, rooted, and he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, living water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. That's another thing. This thing is all about growth. So you have a season. Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you, that whatsoever you ask in my Father's name, it shall be given unto you. John 15:16. See? But it says fruit in his season. So there's seasons. Okay, there's seasons where Satan a mess. It ain't just a Caesar salad. There's seasons. Okay, where there's seasons of growth, seasons of purging. Seasons of what did I say? Purging, cutting, growing. There was a season when you had to get grafted in. Okay, so out of season. I would say preach the word. In season, out of season. Hey, that's on a spiritual level. That's like even when you don't feel like you in season, you still got to go do it. I don't feel like going to work every damn day, but I still go do it. Now, this truth isn't a chore to me, but this chains of darkness tries to make it as a chore, and that's another fight too. That's affliction too. So what happens with the Israelites that handle distress, principalities, things of those natures? Are you still going to be a servant to the Lord? I'm speaking in the spirit of Romans 8, which shall separate us, distress. But let me get that real quick, man. Like I said, this is only for the sincere. Let me get that. There is a sincere remnant that really just needs the word, man, like we do, like I do. Look, deliverance from bondage. Now let's go down. I really want to isolate something here. Okay. I want to isolate something for you. Now check this out. Romans 8:35, who shall separate us from the love of Hamashiach? Shall tribulation? So you got to tell yourself, when I go through tribulation, am I gonna forsake this truth? Because you don't think Satan will be there to try to tell you to curse the Most High and die? Is that what Satan did through Job's wife? So you got to start isolating these points of precepts and putting yourself in these scenarios to understand that when you experience this so-called emotion, will that separate you? Because there's others in this walk of life towards the Lord that their path will deviate to falling away because of tribulation or distress. So you're going to go through these things. You're going to go through, let's go in these words, man. Let me go into these words. Tribulation, what does this mean? Look, a pressing, okay? Oppression, affliction, distress, straits. You ever feel pressed and burdened? You ever feel just so fucking burdened that you just didn't give a fuck about anything? And you say, I don't give a fuck about the bills, man. I don't give a fuck about this shit. I don't care about date night. But then you gotta hone in though. Okay? See, not all of our people are ready to deal with the real reality of what it's like serving the Lord in a temporal, vain world that is a vexation of spirit. I'm serious, man. That's why it says a man of much travel gains experience. So now in tribulation and the pressing down, feeling the pressure of this world, trying to distract you. All right. Are you still going to be there for the Lord? Are you still going to do lessons? Are you still going to want to read? Or in distress, things that could cause you to be in a distressful situation, narrowness of place, meaning I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. Extreme affliction, anguish, look, narrowness of room. See, dire calamity. All right. Not every Israelite is ready to handle these metaphorical situations of extreme affliction. Think about a scenario of extreme affliction. And are you still going to be able to say, call halal Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai? Look, persecution, going back to the parable, and it says persecution, right there. Are you still going to be that same Israelite in the midst of that? Are you still going to be the same Israelite in persecution? Let's just see what persecution means. Okay. Persecution. It explains itself. Persecuted for the word's sake, being isolated, singled out by humans. Look, in famine. All right, no money. Okay, that's where the Lord works. The Lord works when you're broken. The Lord works when you're poor. The Lord works when bills are piling up. The Lord works where you can't work no more because you've done everything. It's like Noah. Think about Noah. Noah got the instructions. He got the wood. He built it, but it was the Lord that allowed the ark to float. You see, it could have sunk, but it was the Lord that kept it afloat. You know, it was the Lord that kept it afloat, man. So it's like in the times of direness, are you going to believe the Lord's got you? Scarcity of harvest, hunger, famine, through the idea of destitution, scarcity, when there's nothing left carnally in front of you, are you still going to believe? Let me see. Peril, look, nakedness, peril, or a sword, the guillotine, the gun, death, destruction. Are you still going to believe? Because other Israelites won't. They will be separated from Yahweh Shai, or they really were never connected in the first place. So they're going to denounce who they call Christ because of tribulation, because it got hard. And that's just like an American woman, okay? For the most part. That's what the culture of America produces, is to be bitch made, all right? When things get tough, you skedaddle. It says, make not haste in a time of trouble. Are you going to make haste in a time of your trouble? Let's keep going. It says, persecution arises for the word's sake. Immediately they were offended. What's that word offended mean? Okay. You can't be offended. Offended. To put a stumbling block in the way, trip, fall, entice to sin, cause to fall away. Woo! To make indignant, stumble. So something's going to cause them to stumble in their perfect walk, and then that's where the offense comes in. Verse 18. And these are they which are sown among thorns, such as hear the word, and the cares of this world, and the deceitfulness of riches, and the lusts of other things entering in, choke the world, and it became unfruitful. This one speaks volumes to me, okay? Because going back, as we are against this world, as we do not love this world, within it, though, you will still have deceitfulness, like we got to get our daily bread, but then you got certain jobs that want your whole mind and body to it. And that offends me, but I understand that's a part of this walk, but it still is offensive, but you got men, because of deceitfulness of riches, are now calling on Christ, okay, are now telling you to be in the flesh without saying it, you see, and the lust of other things. So you have to be mindful that you will deal with the cares of this world. You got to be mindful that there's deceitfulness of riches. You got to be mindful that there are lusts of other things that will try to tempt you, that maybe year 1 or 2 you wouldn't have did, but now year 5, 6, 7, going on 8, you like, well, I'm a little lenient. Well, think about King Solomon when he had all those women, but then in his older age, that's where the wants of the woman started becoming prioritized. You see? So you got to even understand too that even having a woman, she potentially can be used as a tool through lust of other things, choke the word, to choke the word, man. There are things out here that will choke the word. You got to be mindful of that. And it become unfruitful. Now you're not doing lessons, I've battled thoughts of not doing lessons. Even today, I said, nah. I can't go. Yeah, yesterday was camp, and you want to do a lesson before camp, and then you're in this flesh, and this flesh needs to sleep. So I didn't wake up early enough like I normally do to do a quick lesson. But the Lord blessed me with the thought process to say, hell nah, we still got to do one today, though. See? In season, out of season, daily edification. Okay? It says, now let's get into some good too. It says, and these are they which are sown on good ground, such as hear the word and receive it and bring forth fruit, some 30-fold, some 60, and some 100. So this is the reality of the paths that are taken on this journey. Remember, the kingdom of heaven is as a long journey. Let me get that. Is that Mark 13? Let's go to Mark 13. The kingdom of heaven is a long journey. Things to come. And I love the red letter too. Let me see here. Let me see. Just give me a second. I could Google it, but see right here, right here. The stars. Okay, not that one. Let me see. Where is it? Yes, Mark 13 and 32. It says, but of the day, and real quick, I just want to say, because it's on my spirit, fun facts. The reason why red letter are the reason why Yahushai's words are in red letter, because I believe in like the 1800s or I could Google it, but pretty much there was a Christian journalist or author or publisher, and he had the idea to make Yahushai's words in red letter so that you knew that it was Yahushai speaking, and the red represented his blood. And that's what we have covering us, Yahushai's blood for the remission of sin. You know, that's another thing too. Do not let sin weigh you down. We don't sin willfully, okay? But don't let sin weigh you down and take you out this truth too. And now you just feel through. Now you ain't nothing. Like, you got to shake that spirit, man. It's a spirit of heaviness trying to press you down, trying to take you. I got to shake that shit, man. You got to give it a spiritual uppercut, okay? You got to understand that this is what this walk is about. Satan will jump on you, then he jumps off you. Then he'll jump back on you, then he jumps off you, okay? He's a petty, dirty fighter, all right? Luke 4:13, and when the devil, Satan, had ended all the temptations, he departed from him for a season. And you'll know when it's Satan. You'll know, okay? Because you ain't dealt with him for a couple of days or a certain topic or a certain demonic thought, and then all of a sudden it ramps up again. And for me personally, I'm like, I know what demon this is, you know. And then I get mad because I'm like, it's still, these demons are still trying to use the same angle again. You see? So you got to understand that within this walk, man. Okay, are you listening? You got to understand that in this walk, man. I'm being funny, but I'm also being serious. Mark 13 and 32. But of that day and that hour knoweth no man, but that can offend someone. Man, well, who told you to put a time limit? It says no one knows the time, hour, a day. See, you got to have the signs. See, there's a lot of things that trip you up that are self-appointed notions that your flesh has in your mind that you got to rebuke. There are things that my flesh has assumed that I have to rebuke in the spirit, because I'm like, who the fuck told you that? Just like when it was told, who told you that? Who told you you was naked? Who told you you're going to die? See, you got to be careful of who's telling you what, all right? But of that day and that hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels which are in heaven, neither the Son, but the Father. And the angels and the Son ain't offended that they don't know the time or the day. But here it comes, mere man, okay? Mere man. Who the fuck are even you? See? When you start really shedding light and really explaining things, it makes you sit back and go, right, I'm tripping. See? Take ye heed, watch and pray, for ye know not when the time is. Something could happen today. Something could happen tomorrow. Something's gonna happen when something happens. All right. And not every Israelite wants to hear that. Israelites want to hear exactly when and where, because they want to know when and where to get ready instead of getting ready now and staying ready. See? For the Son of Man is as a man taking a far journey. See? Who left his house and gave authority to his servants, to every man his work, and he commanded the porter to watch. So we have authority in the spirit, all right? Just like Apostle Paul said, you know, we have authority amongst the truth, but the outside world, they're supposed to be outside. They're supposed to be wicked. They're supposed to lie, cheat, rob, steal, kill, commit adultery. You know, all the wickedness that the world was set up to do is what they're doing. So within the fold, we have to make sure that those traits are not amongst us. Okay. And it says, watch ye therefore, for ye know not when the master of the house cometh, at even or at midnight, or at the cock crowing, or in the morning, lest come in suddenly he find you sleeping. And what I say unto you, I say unto all, watch. So you got to keep watching. Don't let certain things distract you. Don't let things put you in a position where you can't watch. There are different paths in this truth explained in a parable, and Yahweh Shai explained it. You got the cares of the world, deceitfulness of riches, not rooted in, but then you also have those that are good ground, that are rooted, that will not be offended, and that will endure unto the end. So make sure that the path that you're walking is the path that leads to the end of salvation. And we only thing we do is pray that that's our path and in the end, because man's goings are of the Lord. So I'm gonna leave it there. I just wanted to do that lesson. I pray that it was comforting, exhorting, enlightening. And Yahweh Shai sheep are being fed as we're waiting for his return. So I just want to say, call halal, Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to my elders, bishops, and apostles of Great Millstone that do well. Peace and salutations to the Lord's elect. With that being said, shalom.